Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the time you get this video. Hi, how are you? Good, good, good. Well, I make a lot of things look easy, but in the spirit of showing some faults, figured it'd be fun to tell you a story about the time that I got seduced and I simped for 3 years. 3 years. Yeah. Anyway, let me preface this with some Belle Biv DeVoe. Never trust a big button or smile. That girl is poison. Well, one day I was scrolling Facebook and I came across this young lady that I found attractive, and saw that she was a barber, and I figured that was my entry point in. So I reached out to get a haircut and proceeded to go. Where I was, my usual shy self, not really willing to talk much, not revealing much. Interestingly enough, just being myself. And I would say about on the fourth or fifth visit, I came in and I was looking like real incredible hawkish, like just yeah. I just left from the gym and I had on a muscle shirt. I don't know, maybe it got to her. Um, yeah, and she asked me out on a date. Said she wanted to go to the movies. Um, so I show up and she arrives and her makeup is done. If I recall, like she had on either like found these nice earrings, colorful eyeshadow, um, this hot red lipstick. Uh, very, very attractive. So attractive that it sent my anxiety to 10. Now she was already a very shapely woman. I mean, body like Buffy, and look just made it even worse. So like my anxiety is on 10. Side note, uh, anxiety is suffering of the future, and depression is suffering of the past. So if you want relief from either, you should stay in the present. Nevertheless, my anxiety is up, and I want to make a move. I want to facilitate a move. I want to touch, and I just can't find it in myself to take an action. And so we get out of the movie theater and we go sit in the car and we, despite being in close proximity, just talk. And I'm giving off real friend vibes, not sexual vibes like I intended, but let's be friends vibes. And I will say that was probably the closest I got to scratching the kitty per se. So I'm pretty sure her attraction level at that point went to zero. So for the next 3 years, hmm, I persist in trying to find that one moment. And kudos to her. She played it. She played the game very well. She gave me just enough hope that something could happen. And I also have to, point out that my ego and the need to conquer was um, had a hand in my misfortune as well. So this woman, listen, we went on tons of dates. She made it to the company Christmas party. I took her to plays. But there were three instances that really stood out as I go back that kind of illustrate how when you're seduced and the image that you have of a person is so grandiose that you cannot see past the faults. One of those occasions, I went to her house and it was an absolute mess with clothes on the floor, dishes everywhere. I mean, it was pretty atrocious. It was nasty. Um, and I made excuses for it, like, maybe she doesn't have time, but the fog was very dense. The second time we went to Paran's, and I'm dressed real dapper. I've ordered the duck. The aroma in the restaurant is perfect, and man, she steps in. She's late. She's incredibly late, and when she finally does arrive, she's got a baseball cap on, and she's fresh out of the mechanic shop. Actually, like, she looked rough, and yet again, I completely excused it because I was just happy to be in her company and happy to still have the opportunity to try to scratch the kitty cat. And then the third time I think was, it's probably the most disheartening time. I think I was in full tilt um, seduction. Like I was just out of it. But I double booked myself and was actually out with a young lady that I'd seduced. And I was in New Orleans, and I told her that I would take her to Melting Pot. So we'd set a date to Melting Pot. And I'm pissy drunk, and it's coming up on about the time that I have to bid the young lady farewell because I need to make the trip back to Baton Rouge. And I let her know I'm leaving. She's not happy about it. And guess I'm pissy drunk, and I get over to the McDonald's because I need to get something to eat to bring down the drunkenness. And I text her like, hey, I'm on the way, yada yada yada. This long text, kind of like professing how bad I wanted to take her out. And she responded, if you come, I'm not gonna be here. And it was like dagger to the heart. And I actually crawled my way back to the other young lady's house, who is again not excited at all to see me after I pretty much dismissed her from someone else. And yeah, like I'm pretty hurt. And she'd used a technique called it's a hot and cold technique. So when she first started talking to me, she like bombarded me with early morning text and interest, and there was some sexual innuendo to the text as well, right? Women control who they have sex with, and men control who they have relationships with or who they marry. So the power dynamic that women usually have is that they know you want to have sex, so they just withhold that. And that's a way to maintain power. creates a lot of imbalance in the relationship though. So I'm sure at the time she was having sex with multiple people, but she was getting the relationship aspect from me. And yeah, she went from being hot to suddenly very cold. And the height of that coldness was the "I won't be there" text. So anyway, eventually got to the point where the spell was broken. I invited her to um, painting with a twist, and I showed up looking real aristocratic. I like to look nice when I go out, and she showed up rather bland. She had on these, regular smegular workout tights, um, a t-shirt that she probably just pulled out of her drawer. Uh, Hair was, all over the place. It hadn't even been done. I think it may have been like wrapped or something, and some flip-flops on. And yet saw nothing wrong. Right. So if you've ever been to painting with a twist, there's a point where they ask you to come to the stage or walk up, to the stage and dry your painting. And she grabbed hers, and as she's walking up, my eyes rested, I'm looking at it, and it rested on her feet. And they were chalk white. They were so ashy, Larry. It was horrendous. It was atrocious. I was like, yo, I know people are seeing this. I cannot have this girl with me, with ashy feet. And I had been reading books to try to figure out what the hell I was doing wrong with this woman. And one of the things that they mentioned was facilitating touch unapologetically. And of course, I got the bright idea to use that as an opportunity to do just that. So she comes back to the scene. I'm like, yo, we need to go to the car. So, it give us a 5 minute intermission, and we go to the car, and I stop into the suburban, and I get a bottle of lotion, and I get in the car, and I'm like, yo, let me put some lotion on your feet. And she is mortified. She does not want me to touch her feet. And I'm like, you are not getting out of this car until, lotion your feet. And so I reach over and grab her foot. And if you can only imagine, like, if you can imagine a cat having like its leg being pulled and that cat trying to get away and it's pulled, that was her. And so I finish lotioning one foot and she hops out of the car and she is tranquil. She is perfectly okay with going back in the event with one ashy foot and one lotion foot if it meant getting far away from me in the moment. I mean, it was cringe worthy. So we get back inside and we both try our best to not pay attention to the awkwardness that was there at this point. And the date ends, and I got back home and I started just kind of feeling some kind of way. And suddenly the thought of me being like 8 or 9 and my grandmother coming over, um, and taking her socks off and wanting me to lotion her feet. And I did it, but I was so disgusted in the process because yours truly doesn't like feet. So imagine coming to the realization that I went outside of myself to do something that I am, completely just taken aback by. Like, I don't like feet. And I just sat there and tried to lotion this woman's feet. just to touch her. And she had the audacity to show up looking the way she did. And here I am, completely downplaying myself and you know my own confidence and completely eschewing that this woman was not on my level. And suddenly, like that, spell was broken. And I never saw her the same after that. In fact, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Shout out to her for being a master seductress. I told this story to a good friend of mine, an older woman, and the first thing she did was say, "You just came across someone that had more game than you." And as I look back on it, she was right. I was successfully seduced. So this is my way of, in the spirit of some sense of vulnerability, but also, you know, doing away with a memory that I no longer wish to carry around. This is like, man, I'm done with it. So yeah, you can go and follow her. I'll put the her tag right up there in the right corner. Um, she deserves a round of applause. Anyway, I um, I love you today. I might be here tomorrow.